Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all getting a chance to fight that war against the grey. We did it. We hit 1,000 subscribers and it feels great. I could not be more appreciative of everyone who supported the channel thus far and everyone who will support the channel in the future. I hope more will come to support the channel in the future, but I thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit special, I guess, and sort of delve a bit into my own hobby experiences and talk about them and do this, I guess, in a Q&A sort of way. I put questions out on Facebook, Twitter, and in the Discord and ask people questions they'd like to ask me about my personal hobby. So this could be things like, what army, blah, 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 or what's your favorite model from this range, and etc. And so I've received a bunch of questions, and so we're going to go through them all. Some will need more answering than others, but it's all just a bit of fun. Hopefully you guys get to know me a little bit more, a little bit better, and know a little bit about my hobby past and all that sort of stuff as well. But hope you enjoy the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I just can't wait to we hit the next 1,000 milestone at 2,000 now. That's all I'm looking forward to. So let's get kicking on with this and let's have some fun. So the first question, well, what was your first army? This is a good one to start with as any, and so the story of my first army is interesting because my first model was, and this question's not actually been asked of what my first model was, so I'll start with that. My first model were actually the old metal Wood Elf Dryads, the horrendous looking old Wood Elf metal Dryads. They were my first models. When I started, Wood Elves weren't actually in full production. I couldn't buy a battle tome or army book as they were called back then, and so I had to choose something else, and the army I chose was Skaven. Skaven were my first army. I absolutely loved the Ratmen. Rattling guns especially drew me towards the army. They were just so cool. I also really loved Rat Ogres and the Stormvermin models. Old Stormvermin models look so fantastic. They were some of my favourite models, and they still look really good today. I still really like the old metal Stormvermin. Even with the new plastic sculpts, I reckon the old ones are still really nice. The rattling gun hasn't changed, but it's still fantastic. What's not to love about an arcane medieval Gatling gun? And of course, like Rat Ogres, they're always cool, and amazing things in the army as well, like the Screaming Bell are just fantastic and drew me towards the army. I also love playing like the Hordes, and I love the lore behind them, the backstabbing nature that was Skaven. It doesn't help that I also fell in love reading about Thanquol in the Gotrek and Felix novels as well. So, next question, and what is my favourite metal model? So I sort of took a little bit of a cut on this model, and I made it a model that was never not released in anything but metal. So I took out some models out of my choices because they were either released in resin later or plastic or some other variation later. And so I went for the model that for me never really changed out of its metal, and my favourite metal model is one of the Wood Elf male Spellsingers. I absolutely love this model. He has the affectionate name around my local games workshop as Dr. Hobo. I don't really know where that started. We gave names to all the Wood Elf Spellsinger models, and really all those Spellsingers are fantastic models, but this one for me is just my absolute favourite. He's a stunning metal model. He's got so much of that sort of cackly sort of forest wizard, weird dude in the forest wizard vibe to him. I just love him, and like the whole little pulling the little sprite by the side that he's obviously going to use to get over here and do something nasty towards. It's great. Love this model. Next question, do I have the first model I ever painted still? And the answer is actually no, I don't have the model I first painted, but I did manage to find a picture of the model that was the first one I ever painted, and it was the Skaven Greyseer. It actually took me a bit to try and find this model, and you know what? Maybe I'd like to try and find this model again. So let me know if you have one of this Greyseer knocking around anywhere, because I'd like to grab him again and give a new paint job to the first model I ever painted. That'd be amazing. So if you have one of these, or you know someone who's got one and you're willing to like sell it or something, give me a message and let me know. I'd love to get a hold of this Skaven model and paint the first model I ever painted in much more capable skills that I have now. Next question up, and do you like any other gaming systems? So I'm assuming they're meaning besides Age of Sigmar, as that's the one I obviously like the most. And yeah, I do like quite a few others. I do obviously like spin-off games from Warhammer Age of Sigmar, like Warcry, Underworlds, etc. I'm like Warhammer 40,000. I haven't played it in a little while. I wasn't the biggest fan of the current edition, but I'm really excited for 9th edition. And so really looking forward to potentially getting back into Warhammer 40,000. You might see some of that on the channel soon. Lord of the Rings, I'm a big fan of the game. And I've got some armies here I've got painting up at the moment. I've also recently started really looking into things like A Song of Ice and Fire and Star Wars, which really interest me. And there's others out there as well, I'm sure, that are games. I'm mostly a tabletop gamer. That is my main thing that I like to do as a hobby. So I'll always give games a go. If you've got another game that you'd like to see potentially on the channel in the future, because most of these ones here will probably see time on the channel in the future, when we get doing battle reports and stuff, definitely leave some comments below of games you'd like to see played more. Next question, why is AOS so special to you? And I think this photo here sums up why AOS is so special, not just to me, but to so many people. So this photo here was CanCon for me last year, so not the one just past, not the CanCon just past, but the CanCon just before, and this was literally a large portion of the community for CanCon. I think it was fully like about a third or a quarter of all the participants in CanCon. You can see me with A-lister Ms. WWE top in the middle there in the bright blue right in dead center. But this photo was just everyone getting together the Friday night before a tournament and just having a blast, having some beers, barbecue, drinks, and just generally having fun. And for me, it was cooking a barbecue because I'm the chef of the group, and of course I cooked a barbecue, but I loved it. It was hosted, and all thanks to Mr. Doom and Darkness, who is in the picture there, and there's other great people in there, like Mr. Cron from Aethercast, Coach Nathan from Honest Wargamers in there as well. You got the guys from what are they called? Mango Mafia, and a whole bunch of other dudes in there. There's just so many fantastic guys from across Australia, all in this photo. Smorgan's in there as well, and it's great. This is why AOS is so special. The community, I've made so many friends. I've got so many good friends in this photo, and so many people I've got to meet thanks to Age of Sigmar. This photo here is everything of why AOS is special to me. Next up, what's your favourite army model range? So I'm assuming they mean all time, and that's what I'm going to go with in this anyway. And I found a picture having most of the models that I love, and it's definitely the Wood Elf model range. I absolutely love the Wood Elf model range, from the characters to the cool looking units like Waywatchers, Warhawk Riders, Eternal Guard, Wildwood Rangers, the Wild Riders, both the old ones and the new ones. It's just a fantastic set of models, and it is most certainly my favourite army model range that's ever existed and probably ever will exist for Warhammer Age of Sigmar and Fantasy combined, and 40k, and just across all gaming. Maybe if Konothi get a full release we might change that, but I've got some fond memories of a lot of things in this army, and I love a lot of these models. I've actually got a lot of them to still paint up, because back in those days I didn't paint models because I was a lazy little sod. So maybe I should do some videos of me painting up some old vintage Wood Elf units, hey? What do you all think about that? Next question, what do you do when hobby burnout sets in? And so I guess there's a few answers to this, but for me, burnout generally doesn't happen so long as I stay focused on a project. I'm the sort of person that once I'm doing something, I'm pretty motivated to get it done. However, like, hobby burnout happens to the best of us, and I won't say it doesn't happen to me. But so sometimes I just take a break and maybe watch a YouTube clip. I mean, people that do other content creators, I go watch their content, and it doesn't need to be Warhammer related. Sometimes, like, I even watch Warhammer Total War stuff, or even some music videos or whatever. Also changing projects, and this is just generally a hobby tip in general for anyone watching, really. You can find most things you do, if you have like 2 or 3 units on the go, or 2 or 3 projects on the go at once, you can swap between them and you can still get progress made. Sometimes play a video game, even just a game on my mobile phone as well helps, just sort of break the ice and get me back in the mood. Or watching a TV show, just go inside, watch TV, watch a movie, or, you know, just go inside, hang out with my wife or my kids. That's always a great one as well. What possessed you to buy hundreds of models for your pile of shame? And so anyone who's seen the pile of shame video on the channel, I have a lot of grey plastic, and I'm smashing through it pretty well at the moment. I'll say I've painted up 4 armies. I've almost done number 5, which is going great this year. But mainly possession, it really started bolstering up when I decided that I wanted to do like battle reports and stuff on the YouTube channel. So really stocking up on armies to make sure we've got a good variety of content to be able to put out, and good armies that we can show off to people. But also a lot of it's like just accumulated over time. When you get in this hobby, I mean, people refer to it as certain names, and there's reasons for that. But for me, I really like the models, and I always see myself in this room doing hobby and painting models, and I don't think I'd ever get bored of this. Like, I'm not the sort of person, I've never had sort of a gap between my hobby. I've never stopped. I've always been in the hobby, and I probably always will be. It's just such a part of my life now that I don't think I'd be without it. Next question, how often do I play AOS? Well, at the moment, not very often because all this stuff is happening around the world, but normally I'd play AOS like once, twice, sometimes even 3, 4 times a week, and with the channel hoping to move into battle reports more and more later on, that's probably going to increase to like, I'd say nearly at least once a day I would be playing AOS if we're moving into content creating, because I really think putting out lots of content is a good thing, and putting out a consistent stream of it is definitely something I want to consider doing. What is your favourite individual unit war scroll in AOS? And so, as you can see, I've got the Collegiate Arcane Battle Mage from the Cities of Sigmar faction up, and this is most certainly my favourite war scroll in AOS. Main reason is, well, look at that picture. There's 4 models, but they're all the same war scroll, and that's what's great about this war scroll. There is so much versatility, so many options for cool creating of models. Not only that, but the kit is fantastic to go along with it. But this kit is just simply stunning, and the models and the rules and the things you can do with that to create some narrative within your army or games is just amazing, and I love this kit a lot. Definitely my favourite individual unit war scroll in AOS is the Battle Mage. What war scroll do you wish was better? And certainly for me, it's got to be my Scourge Privateer monster, the Charybdis. I think the Charybdis is a fantastic model that just doesn't have rules to back up. And honestly, I think this can go for most models of this sort of caliber. Most mid-sized monsters just don't feel monsterish enough and don't compete enough with unit options at their points level to really be good. Charybdis, Hydra, Gorgons, Cygors, anything that caliber, monster, giants, etc. Although giants might change very soon, but anything that caliber, for me, I wish the war scroll was better. But the Charybdis most certainly first, because, you know, Scourge Privateers, and I love Scourge Privateers. What rules do you want to see changed in AOS? And well, I think the answer for this one is simple: activation wars. For me, I never really liked them coming into the game to begin with. I thought it robbed Deepkin of something that was special to them, and I thought it brought them out to the whole game. You know the saying, if something's not special, if everyone is special and gets that special thing. Like, for me, I don't like the activation wars in full. I don't mind it in bits and pieces, but I definitely would like to see some cleaning up of it. I like seeing interesting mechanics that change around the way we do things. So I'm really a big fan of the current way, like Lumineth are going to be able to do it while picking 2 units. It's not necessarily changing it's more changing the fundamental rule that's at the core, rather than adding in new rules. It's a change, not an addition, which I think is the best way to do it. So yeah, that for me, definitely activation wars is a rule I want to see change. I want to see something tidied up, I want to see it cleaned up, and I know they've done things to like sort of help it, but yeah, for me, it could still get tidied up that much more and be that much simpler a thing to use within the game. What paint do you use the most? And so I did a little bit changing this. I took out like the basic things, because obviously the obvious answer is going to be things like Nun Oil, Agrax Earthshade, black, white, and some browns, because they're just so common. However, I thought I'd choose a paint that like go for the one that's like maybe the colour I use the most, that's not something so basic. And for me, that colour is Macragge Blue. For anyone who's seen my Stormhost, they're done up in pretty much Ultramarine colour schemes. I'm currently painting up Space Marines as Storm Wardens, so they're blue. I use that blue on my Cities of Sigmar as well. It's also featured on my Zinch. I use McRae blue a lot. I like blue because blue is the colour and football is the game. If you could add any race to AOS, what would you add? Well, I guess Kernothi are already in AOS. These guys sort of ain't. So I'm going to go with Femir. I know they had some Forge World models, but they're currently discontinued, so I'm going to say they're not in AOS, and I would love to see Femir come back in AOS. I remember playing against them in like Hero Quest all that time ago. I remember grabbing some of the old terrible Femir models when, what was it called, Storm of Magic came out for Warhammer Fantasy. They were a bunch of fun to use then, and I'm really disappointed I didn't actually end up grabbing some of the Forge World ones recently, so that's a bit sad. I'd love to get my hands on some of them and paint them up. But yeah, I'd love to see Femir added to Warhammer Age of Sigmar properly, mainly because I feel Destruction is the biggest untapped potential of AOS. Destruction has so much potential for unique, cool looking armies that just go outside of all the normal boundaries. I think it's a missed opportunity that we haven't seen more from Destruction. And I really think Femir is a great way to go to starting that off. If someone was new to AOS, what would you tell them is the best part of the game? Well, without a doubt, we're going to go back to this picture that I had up here from CanCon, and certainly the best part of the game for me is community. Like, it's people that make doing all these videos and YouTube stuff so much fun because I have so much great connection with the community and stuff that makes this worth doing for me, but it certainly just makes it great for other people. I mean, the fact that it's just fantastic community, you can all enjoy yourself, it's great. So glad that like I get to be a part of this great community, and is definitely what I would tell anyone is the best part of the game is you'll love and you'll meet so many fantastic people. How did you feel the first time you walked into a GW store? Well, this meme here literally sums up how I felt. I'm so excited, I can't wait to start this whole thing. So my first experience with Warhammer actually wasn't inside a GW store or any wargaming store to begin with. I got given a set of Warhammer Quest to play with my cousins by one of our uncles back in the day. And so that's how it all sort of started. Then we went looking for more pieces. We saw Games Workshop on the back of the box. And then randomly one day we found where Games Workshop was, where I was living. And we went into that store, and I was always the kid that loved fantasy stuff like elves, dwarves, swords and shields. Has always been my sort of fascination, and like it's what I loved as a kid growing up. You know, I was the kid that liked knights and all that sort of stuff. And so yeah, I was just so excited to see this. The hobby store near me, Games Workshop Tea Tree Plaza, at the time had a giant Lord of the Rings Two Towers display for Minas Tirith, and it was stunning. And yeah, this meme perfectly sums up how did I feel the first time you walked into a GW store. How do I stay motivated to paint miniatures? And so pretty much if you're watching this, you're a big part of the reason why I stay motivated to paint miniatures. I do this because not only do I enjoy it, but I found recently that I enjoy painting minis and talking about it and just sharing my experiences with others. I'm no fantastic miniature painter. I do a decent job, I think, but I'm definitely nothing high end when it comes to mini painting. But I enjoy sharing my work with the community. I enjoy talking to the community about what I do and what I love, and this hobby is what I love and what I do a lot of. So yeah, definitely a big part of why I stay motivated is definitely the community that I've created here, and you guys spur me on to more and more hobby all the time. What's the most money you've ever spent on one army? This meme should sum it up because I don't actually know, and I don't think I could put a figure on it. I mean, I own a whole warrior chamber. I've owned almost 4 companies worth of the same Space Marine chapter at one point. I've got giant armies and I've got a lot of models, so I really don't know, honestly. Yeah, $1 million, I guess. No, it's probably not that much, but a lot of money. I don't really have a proper answer for anyone. What's your favourite kit from each faction? So I didn't grab pictures from everything because there'd be a lot of pictures on the screen, and so I've just listed them all. Beast of Chaos, Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, fantastic model. I've just painted one up, in fact. Cities of Sigmar, Blackheart Fleet Master. Really, do I need to say anything else? He's fantastic. He's a pirate elf. I love pirate elves. Daughters of Cain Marathi, best model in the range. Unless you Quartz Terrorgeist, there's not really anything else that competes with it. Fire Slayers, Magmadroth, same reason. There's nothing really for me that competes with that model. Gloomspike Gitz, Gobblepalooza. I've only just painted up my Gloomspike Gitz army, and I love the Gobblepalooza so much I had to fit it in. Idenef Deepkin, the Ishran Soul Render, is my favourite. He's the dude that looks like the anglerfish. I really love that model. Caradron Overlords, Grunstock Thunderers. I love all the different special weapons that you get in the kit. It looks amazing. I know it's not the best loadout, but who cares? They look amazing. Khorne, Valkyria the Bloody. She's a fantastic miniature. Legion of Asgore, the Fireglaves are my favourite. I really love the whole armour that they've got going, and the guns are really cool on them as well. Legions of Nagash, the Coven Throne. It's a fantastic kit, and I don't really care which variation it is, Coven Throne or the other ones. They're all my favourites. Nighthaunt, Bladegeist Revenants, they are just fantastic models. There's so much movement to them. I just love those models. They make me think of everything that Swordmasters and AOS could have been. Nurgle, Putrid Blight Kings, best kit in Nurgle by far. They're just stunning miniatures, so much fun to paint. I've only just finished painting up mine that I got with Warhammer Quest, but they're fantastic. Ogre Tribes, the Hunter. Close to this would be a lot of the Maneater models, but the Hunter is just my favourite. There's just something about him that makes him look very ogreish. He's very Beastclaw Raider. I love him. Ossiarch Bone Reapers of Mortian, by far my favourite model in the range. Seraphon, the Bastillodon. Back when I was a kid, the Ankylosaurus was my favourite dinosaur. So put two and two together, it's Bastillodon. Skaven, the Hellpit Abomination. I used to have one of these rocking around when I was playing Fantasy and wrecking everyone with my Hellpit back in Fantasy. It's a fantastic mini, and I've had so much fun with it. It's just so many fond memories of the Hellpit. Slanesh, Celesk, the two people together. I'm pretty sure I've spelled the name wrong, probably have, but oh well. I love that miniature, and I'm probably going to try and do that White Dwarf Battalion at some point if I do Slanesh, because that miniature is what I want to put in an army. Slaves to Darkness, Ogre Myrmidon. It's the best model in the entire range, hands down. Like, it's not even a competition between that and other things, really, is it? Stormcast Eternals, the Lord Veritan is actually my favourite model. I really like the look of that model a lot. I think it's one of the best models that Stormcast have had, and it holds up well. Sylvaneth, Spirit of Dirthy. I mean, it's a fantastic miniature, and definitely I do like the Tree Lord kit in all its variations, but definitely Spirit of Dirthy is the best build from that. And lastly, Tzeentch, the Kayak Acolyte kit is my favourite. I love the Kayak Acolyte kit. That's just such a great kit. Do you play any Warhammer console games? And this includes computer games, and the answer is no. I use console and computer games as a break from Warhammer if I really need it. I'm a big fan of Pokemon. I've played Pokemon competitively for a long time, so I really enjoy that. Also things like Skyrim and stuff, but I use console games and stuff like that to break away from Warhammer, so I don't really want to be playing Warhammer on my console as well as playing it on the tabletop. What's your favourite army to build and paint? And so for me, these are both one and the same. I'm not that fond of building. Building is probably my least favourite part of the hobby. I much prefer painting and gaming over building. Building is my least favourite out of the three main pillars of the hobby. And I guess, well, even four, it's definitely lower than lore. So yeah, it's without a doubt my lowest level of the hobby and the thing I enjoy the least. But I do enjoy building armies that go together nice and quickly, and for me that's Stormcast Eternals. They go together nice and quick, they're nice and simple, and they're also the most fun to paint because you've got large areas where colours always work on Stormcast. I think you can hit a Stormcast with any two complementary colours and you can make it work on those models. They're really good at showing off nice big colour schemes, and definitely my answer for both is Stormcast Eternals. Thank you everyone for watching. That's the end of all the questions that I received from everyone, and I hope it's, let you know a little bit more about me. If you've got any more questions, leave them in the comments down below and I'd be happy to answer more questions down there for you all. But lastly, don't forget to like and subscribe the video. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean. And also, special thank you to our patrons, Cinderful Guard Militia, Christian Weir and Philip Ward, and our Cinderful Free Good Regiment member, James. And if you wish to join the Patreon for the channel and help it grow more and more, you can find a link to that down in the description below. And you can also find a link to our Discord server down in the description below as well. But everyone, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. I'll see you all again real soon.